Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead Dead City video. So here's my review of episode 6, which is the finale to Dead City. Honestly, very fantastic episode. I was actually pretty surprised by certain elements of the ending. I actually did predict the one part of it right, but with how they kind of did it, I didn't see that part of it. Just like the element of the Dama just being, so present in all of that. So anyways, before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Tomorrow is Comic-Con. It's going to be a very big day, so I'll be breaking down the Rick and Michonne teaser, the Daryl Dixon trailer, everything that we get for all of that. So yeah, definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my content there, and obviously be aware that this video will contain spoilers for the episode, but I'm sure you guys are all aware of that. Now, I'm just going to make a side note here, and I'm just going to say I really can't believe how long it takes for these episodes to drop on like Prime Video. Now, I believe if you watch it through AMC Plus, you just get the episode immediately. But on Prime Video, it literally takes forever, and I had to go through AMC Plus directly just to watch it, and that's just, again, I'm not ever watching The Walking Dead content at all through Prime Video anymore. I can't. Like, this has just been, it's been about a year or two of this. Personally, if I'm giving my honest take on that, review on that, it's just been, I don't know what the issue is. I really don't know what the issue is, but it always takes forever to load up on there. It should be up on there like 3 a.m. Eastern all the time. Constantly, it should be up on there. But sometimes it is. Sometimes it's an hour and a half early. But a lot of the time, it just doesn't show up for a lot of people. And I've been seeing a lot of people today complaining about watching this episode, and yeah, it's just one of those things that is definitely unfortunate. So I would recommend just going through AMC Plus directly. It seems to be fine that way, and so that's sort of what I've been doing now, and that's what I will continue to do going forward anyways. And yeah, episode 6, this episode, and first of all, I'm going to say I'm going to talk more about the ending, or not the ending, but the bigger events of what happened in this episode. And I'm going to save some of the smaller details for when I talk about season 2, like stuff with the Marshal and a lot of that, because a lot of those details there, like with the bricks and what's happening now with the Marshal and with Maggie and etc. Like, that's really going to play a role in season 2, when they find out that Negan is uniting all of these places here in New York City. Like, there's a lot that, like, I can see why the early reviewers were pretty shocked by the ending here, because they were like, oh yeah, this is setting up a lot. Like, this is going to be turning into an all-out war soon. Honestly, this almost feels like I talked about this before Dead City aired. I was saying, like, this show kind of feels like an all-out war part 3. It kind of feels like we're going there right now, but there is some differences because there's been some changes within Maggie and her feelings towards Negan. So we'll talk about that as soon as we get to that part anyways. Now, the visuals and the flow of this episode I thought worked pretty perfectly. I was actually pretty concerned when I first went to the episode, because I was hoping that a lot of the action, a lot of just, the big parts of the episode would end soon, but I wanted it to be paced properly, because I wanted a lot of what we got at the end. Like, the end, the last 10 to 20 minutes, I would say, was honestly a perfect epilogue, perfect cliffhanger. Like, the cliffhanger on this show was crazy. And I really do believe when you look at season 1 overall, it really perfectly set up this entire world here. Like it set up the spinoff world perfectly. Like, this is what to expect from these shows that are 6 episodes. Now, I do think for season 2, they do need to up the episode count. I think 6 episodes is a little bit, it's just not enough. 8 episodes, I think, works. If you want to go to 10, I'm not going to complain, but 8 to 10 in that range, I think is perfect. 6, there's just I don't know, in terms of what this story was, when you actually look at the whole entire season, and I will be doing a season review that should be out probably Saturday or Sunday. Actually, the season review will be out Sunday along with my season 2 video. So expect that then. I think Saturday I'll probably be doing a ranking video, because I do want to rank all the episodes and stuff. So yeah, just stay tuned for all of that. But I will say that, yeah, when you look at the story here, this story really focused on trying to get Herschel back. But it really, I feel like the theme to this season really was the world isn't black and white. There's a lot of gray in it, right? Like, there's no, nothing's that clear. And honestly, by the end of this, I would say Maggie looks like the villain more than Negan. Like, that's sort of where we're at right now. I feel like Maggie now is in a place where, I mean, I think some fans are starting to really like her again because of her decision at the end, in which she talked to Herschel and she was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just not gonna bother with Negan anymore. I'm done with that kind of thing, right? So we'll see how done she really is once season 2 starts, but that's a good place because that's the thing. And I guess we'll talk about that in a second once we get there. Where I guess things really do change quite a bit is obviously sort of, I guess during the part where Ginny does learn of Negan killing her father, which I do want to say that's one thing that I've been seeing a lot of people say, like that was just fact. The way I watched that scene, he was lying. Like he was clearly lying to her. He just wanted her to go back to the bricks because it was going to be the safest thing for her. And she wasn't going to go. She wanted to stay with him. And then all of a sudden she starts talking, and then he just starts to get more upset and more angry because he's like, wow, like I'm trying to say goodbye to you here. And now you decide to talk. Like, so that's what I sort of took from the scene. It was more that he was just lying to her, just to hurt her really bad so that she would leave. And yeah, obviously that's horrible, but like it did work because you do actually see Negan after she walks away. You see him like visibly upset, and Maggie's looking at him like, I totally get what you did. And she's also like heartbroken for him, right? The Maggie and Negan fight I thought was actually pretty cool. I do think that in general with those two characters, going forward, maybe don't do so much of that, though, you know, that stuff is a lot of fun. Some fans don't like it, but it's, I don't know, to me, I thought it was kind of cool. Like, those characters never really fought in that way before, so it was kind of cool to actually see something like that, though I will say, like, Negan got stabbed. Like, he actually got stabbed, and he was fine, and I was, like, waiting for a moment where he would just kind of, like, just be in pain somehow, but no, it was literally, like, within a second. I even rewinded it, like, a second or two after he gets stabbed, he's just like totally fine. Like that part there is just a little, I don't know if they were necessarily like, I don't know. It looked like he got hit in the chest though. It wasn't like it like just barely hit him or something like that. Like it actually looked like it really hit him. Like, yeah, I don't know. I definitely would want some more clarification on that scene because that scene just seemed crazy. And also, he does this really crazy epic jump, and it does make sense because he's more falling. He's not jumping up. Could you imagine if he jumped up from there? Then I'd be laughing. But I think the combination, I mean, I was laughing because I think the combination of him getting stabbed like that and then jumping onto that mat, yeah, he saw that there was a mat there, so obviously it was safe for him to jump down on it. But just that whole scene there, it just seemed so like otherworldly. It was crazy. But then Negan finds out obviously from Maggie. Actually, he doesn't really find out. He just sort of puts two and two together. He's just like, you were gonna trade me for Herschel, and he honestly just seems so hurt by it. He wasn't like upset and like, or not upset, but he wasn't like angry about it, like wanting to get revenge. He was just like clearly so hurt about it. I love what he says there because he's like, we could have done it, Maggie, you know, referencing that like her and him could have taken down the Croat and I guess the Dama who they eventually meet. Like and I do believe it. They probably could have done it, but Maggie, there was just something here where she kind of wanted her revenge on Negan, but it was like the safer way to get Herschel, and it was one of those things where she just, again, this really makes her seem like the villain. Like honestly, yes, we have a clear villain with the Croat and with the Dama, but if you were to ask me out of Maggie and Negan, who was more the villain out of those two, it's clearly Maggie. Negan and Ginny, if anything, were more of the good characters here. Because even Herschel, I mean, Herschel's just like a rebellious teen right now anyways, you know, but he's still more sort of in that gray area. But like Maggie's also there as well. And Negan, yes, he's done some obviously crazy things in this season, but like overall, him and Ginny are probably the most good characters, if that makes any sense. Like that last shot there, like I really do love that shot. Like I've never seen Negan look like that before, just at all. I mean, we've been watching this character for years. He's been like, yeah, he's literally been around for years. And I've never seen him look like that. He just looked at her and he just looked so hurt, like so beyond hurt that she could even do this. And the entire time Maggie is like, it's kind of crazy. Like it really is kind of crazy when you're watching the scene because she sees Herschel, but there's no reaction to go to see him right away. She's still sort of just like her mind's still on Negan. She's just like she still has her knife to him, and she's not reacting to go and see him. There's just so much emotion there. She just seems to be more upset about the fact that she's actually giving Negan away more than she's happy that Herschel is there, which maybe that means she's good, but like, again, it's all just so confusing. It's not how we would all define, I guess, good and evil in that sense. Again, the show really is like nothing's black and white. It's all just a gray area kind of thing. And in that scene there, that's how you feel. Like you're upset that Maggie's not necessarily like, you know, there for Herschel, but you also understand that, like, well, because she's doing sort of a horrible thing to Negan right now. But is it horrible considering what Negan did to her? But then you take into account that Negan is so different now. He's changed so much. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so much is just, it's so complex, but I love it. Like, I really do love that. Negan does say, "Good to see you, kid." I really love that scene. I thought that was super cool. Herschel in general in this show seems to be a lot like his comic version, but a little more grounded, down to earth, I would say, in a sense, a little more rebellious, actually a little more angry is the word I would use. Angry is sort of that's the exact term I would use there, because he's rebellious. He's not necessarily listening to his mom, but there's this anger there. Whereas in the comics, he was sort of rebellious and did what he wanted, but he wasn't angry or anything like that. He was just kind of a brat. So yeah, Herschel, he's a lot more like his comic version. And I do like that because it does add sort of some character, I would say, to the Ree family, like just the complexity there. I could see Glenn or Herschel being alive or looking down on Maggie and just being like, "You got this." Like, he just needs some help and he's just going through this right now. You know what I mean? So Maggie has to deal with a lot of this. And I do like that dynamic there. But Herschel does call Maggie out. And I absolutely love this scene. First of all, awesome shot of Statue of Liberty. I was wanting to see it, but yeah, awesome shot of the Statue of Liberty. But Maggie, she's been so obsessed with Negan this entire time that she's kind of ignored him, and he just finally calls her out on it. And I don't know if that's going to change their relationship going forward into season 2. I imagine not necessarily so much. We'll have to see where that goes there, but yeah, we'll have to see, because Maggie, again, she says that she's going to finish this thing with Negan, or she's done with it. She's going to focus on them now. And again, for me, I'm so glad to hear that, because this story has been going on for a long time. Yes, there's going to be that history that's there, but if Maggie can move on past this, if her character is not defined by what happened in the season 6 finale / season 7 premiere, then amazing, because then we could actually advance some stuff there, because it's been a very long time. And I sort of understand a lot of it as to why it took so long, because you couldn't necessarily get into anything with Negan and Maggie until now, really, because just it's so big of a story, right? So I do kind of get it. I also wanted to mention that I love the fact that Maggie went into the same vehicle that she had where her and Negan, I guess, got to New York and in the premiere. I like those small details, because that's what I really like about this show. It feels very realistic. Like, you're driving there and then you go there, and like when you come back from the island, the first thing you're thinking about is like, where's my car? Like, you're gonna go to the same car, right? Whereas I feel like towards the end of The Walking Dead, like original show or main show, like those details just weren't really focused on, right? It was like they would just abandon this vehicle and just go here and go there. Like, these small little details weren't focused on. They would change outfits constantly and it just looked so brand new. It was just like, this makes no sense. This doesn't look like the apocalypse. And you look at Dead City, Maggie and Negan had the same outfit the entire time. Like, yeah, at one point Maggie had her jacket off or whatever, but like she put it back on, like she kept her jacket. So like, I like those small details like that. The Croat doesn't seem to really be the leader anymore. I honestly thought he was gonna die, but he didn't die at all. So that's a really good news for me personally, because I want him a part of season 2, and he's going to be a part of season 2 now. He's more of a Simon character. So Negan is now the leader, and that's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out. And even though he doesn't necessarily want to be, he's going to be. And I do want to talk about that one aspect to it, because people are saying at the very end that Negan, obviously the Dama kind of forces him into staying here. Like, like she has Herschel's toe and she's like, if you don't help me out and do this, I can basically go and get Herschel or whatever. And so it's sort of forcing him to stay, but I do feel like there is a part of him that wants it. You know what I mean? There's going to be a part of him that maybe he doesn't necessarily want to be here. Maybe he wants to be like at the bricks or something with Ginny, or like go see his wife and child. But like, there's probably going to be a part of it where he's like, I'm enjoying this. I enjoy that I get to have this power. And that's the thing. In season 2, we're going to get a lot more scenes like that with Negan having a group and being this just like ultimate villain, and he's going to be more Negan than ever, which is going to be really amazing. I hope that the Croat sort of creates this like new Lucille for him. I think that'd be super cool. But this episode ends with Ginny back at the bricks. We do see Maggie. She actually finds some pictures that Herschel drew, and then she sees the Dama, and she's like terrified. And so that was a really cool reveal, because obviously now she's going to be obsessed with like, who is this? she's going to question Herschel and be like, who is this person, this and that, and going to want to know more about what he's drawing. And that might, you know, obviously that's going to be a big indicator there as to like what her story is going to be for season 2. But we'll talk about that in my season 2 video. The Dama scene with Negan, just amazing. She wants him to be the new leader now. And she mentions Harlem as like their next target or something. Like, she wants them to take Harlem and other places as well. So it's becoming very political, or a political game at this point, which makes sense because that's sort of what happened in season 7, I would say, of well, season 6, kind of the end of season 6 and also season 7 was you're just trying to get allies, right? Like, Rick went to the hilltop and was like, well, we'll help you out, but you have to obviously give us half of your stuff, which was like kind of messed up for Rick to say that at that time. But obviously back then that was just a different version of Rick because they went to the outpost and did all that. So yeah, totally different version of the character then. But season 7, you know, they wanted the scavengers to help out. They wanted Oceanside. They wanted to get all these communities together on their side. And that's sort of what Negan is now doing. So again, it does kind of feel like an All Out War Part 3, which is really cool. And if Negan is able to unite all of these places, he is the ultimate leader. He has so much more power than he ever did during the Savior arc. And now he'll have many allies, and the Dama, the Croat, and Negan. And I don't even know what they're called. Like, what are they going to call themselves? They should have a name. I know she mentioned something like you have the keys to the kingdom. So are they going by the name The Kingdom? Like, that sort of takes away from the actual kingdom that we know. But maybe, I mean, it's possible. But it seems like their real enemies are New Babylon, and they don't like them. So if they can gather everyone from like Harlem, I mean, everywhere in New York City, really, right? And they can actually all be allies, then yeah, I mean, obviously that's going to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes to New Babylon and all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see where season 2 goes. They really set up some really big stuff here. And obviously I have to talk about that last shot there with Maggie and Negan. Like, you sort of have half their faces combined together there. That to me was just absolutely incredible. I was a little freaked out by how accurate it was, by like literally they got everything so perfect where when they lifted their heads up, like it matched perfectly, and it was a little creepy. So I love that. I mean, to me, what that scene means or represents is they're both the same person. They're not the same person. Like, I don't mean they're literally the same person, like they've combined. I just mean like no one's more good, no one's more evil. Like, everyone, again, that's the theme of this show, and I love the fact that it ended in that way. So yeah, I'm so ready for season 2. But this is my review here of Dead City's finale. I will be doing a ranking video of all 6 episodes, talking about all of that. I would post that tomorrow, but Comic-Con is tomorrow, so that's gonna be pretty busy. So that'll be out Saturday, along with some other Comic-Con videos. And then Sunday, I will do a an entire season 1 review, along with a season 2 video on like what to expect and all of that. So it's gonna be a pretty busy weekend, but post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.